documentation. Okay, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of BSD Synergy. I'm your host, Mason Egger. So, this week's episode is going to be a little bit different. I really don't even have a tutorial for you this week. Let me just show you what happened, or tell you what's going on. So, I was going to do a FreeNAS video this week, and I had it all planned out. It was all ready to go, and I started working on some of my hardware and trying to get a FreeNAS box set up, because it's something I've been needing to do. I also somehow found a way to massively my Plex server this weekend, so I kind of need one anyway. So I decided, hey, let's start building one out of some of the parts that I have lying around. And I have a bunch of older machines just lying around for me to use. And let me show you the current state of my workspace. So as you can already see, you can see shit over here, but this is the stuff is just in pieces. There's shit all over the floor. The workstation back behind me needs some help. Everything is pretty much just screwed up right now. So, all of my hardware decided to simultaneously fail this weekend. Both the two you saw on the ground, those are going out to pasture. They're dead. They're gone. There's something that went wrong with them, and I probably could keep them alive. I could find out what's wrong with them, diagnose them. But both of those machines are... I know one of them is over 10 years old, and the other one's pushing, I think, 9. I got the white one that you saw. I got when I was a freshman in high school. I got it the night I started high school. It's time for it to go, so I'm going to let it go. So this week, one of the things I'm going to do is this is going to be something that my coworkers tend to enjoy, and it's going to be a rant video. So I'm going to rant because I've been ass deep in code for the last 4 weeks, more so than usual. I'm working a lot of overtime, and it's starting to just, irritate me. Trying to integrate other people's things into our product, and nobody decided they wanted to document their shit. The people that worked on it don't even know how it works. So... that's kind of irritating. So, today's lesson is going to be always document your shit. And what we're going to go over is we're going to go over the documentation of the 4 main BSDs. And we're going to look at their documentation and I'm going to show you where you can go to find some of the things you need to know. And you can look at them and you can model yourself after them and be like, I want to give my users documentation. Because who knows, somebody other than me might need to use this shit in 5 years. So, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's start off with FreeBSD. So, front page of freebsd.org, it says that we've got a documentation tab, +1 for FreeBSD. There is an FAQ. I like FAQs. FAQs are a nice, quick place to go. Hey, my house is on fire, what do I do? You put it out. There you go. Easy. I don't need to read 600 man pages, import fire object here, import water putting outing object here. I can just go to the FAQ and find what I need. That's good style. We have our handbook, which is pretty nifty. Let's go to the handbook. I've actually never really looked at it. So it's basically all of your documentation. It's your basic documentation for everything you need to know about it. Ooh, jails. I'm going to read that later. It looks interesting. We have our porter's handbook, so if you want to port something, how you have to do it. The developer's handbook. Okay, I've never looked at this, but this tells you how to program, secure programming, how to program for them, and their styles and all the ways that you should do things. I like that. I'm going to implement that at work. How you should do shit. Man pages, documentation project primer, and all books and articles. I'm actually interested to see this one. So, books. And it's just another tutorial. Oh, PMake. And then some articles. Help articles. Okay. FreeBSD, you get an A. You got good documentation. I like it. Let's move on to the next one. OpenBSD. So, do we have documentation on the front page? I do not see it. Project goals, hardware platform, security, crypto, events, papers, innovations, download, daily changelog, man pages. Okay, so man pages, there's an FAQ. Oh, these are, okay, so resources, patches, reporting problems, mailing lists, songs and artwork, hackathons, commercial support. So manual pages, it's a search. Okay, so pretty much, you gotta know what you're looking for. FAQ. Okay, so the FAQ here serves as kind of like the FreeBSD handbook. It's serving here as your handbook. So that's not bad. Okay, at first I was like, they don't have a handbook and they only have frequently asked questions. But no, here we go. So let's say, what do we want to look at? Let's go to creating bootable install media. Okay, so it's named anchored. And okay, I like it. Okay, first was a little bit confusing. Gonna take off a couple points for confusing, but it's fine. Patches, reporting problems, mailing list. I'm actually a member of a couple of the OpenBSD mailing lists. Fun thing is, most of that shit goes right over my head. If you don't understand kernel development, yeah. So I haven't done much of it. I'm actually taking an operating systems course this semester and learning all that stuff. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So okay, OpenBSD, we're gonna give you an A- because you confused me. But that's just me. May not confuse other people. I do have to say though, OpenBSD is known for their documentation. That's what they're known for. They're some of the best in the industry. Also, forgot, you actually get an A+. I give you a +10 because your logo this time around is Doctor Who themed. There you go. Gotcha. +10. A+ for the logo. It's a wonderful thing about being a teacher or professor. You can give bonus points for anything. I one time gave a student bonus points because they drew a little kitty on the paper. Like it was like, and it wasn't just a little kitty. It was like, if any of my answers are not sufficient, here is a cat in a tuxedo, and it was like fully drawn out. I was like, +1. Why not? It's one of the great things about it. You make the rules. Going on to the NetBSD project. Documentation, FAQs, and how-tos, the guide, the manual pages, and the wiki. They have a wiki. So you can actually, it's like a community wiki. Okay. Well, duh. Okay, not bad. I don't know, I went back. Let's go to the guide. I seem to be judging the guides a lot, so yeah, pretty straightforward guide. How to use VI. Because most people are expecting Vim, and it's not Vim, it's VI here. Okay, I like it. Damn, I'm going to have to give everybody an A. I'm a great professor. Everybody signed up for my class. Everybody's getting A's. So, NetBSD, you passed with an A. Not Doctor Who themed. Boo. Dragonfly BSD, documentation. It's right there on the community, but it's only one link. What do we have? Do we have a whole... Okay, so our one link takes us to the handbook, FAQ, general docs, GitWeb. Ooh, browsing the source code. I like that. That's nice. So, man pages. Oh, and they've got it set out into the types. I never remember these types. I never do. Nice. General documentation, handbook. Okay, so it's not like your typical huge numbered list. Let's see, Unix basics, and then and then it goes into it. See, like this is what I was looking for, was like a giant, more like an outline. So, okay, you get an A2 Dragonfly BSD. So look, BSDs have great documentation. Isn't that wonderful? So, see, they can do great documentation. You can too. And if you don't, you're a bad person. Just so you know. So, the other thing I'm going to talk about this week are resources. So, I just showed you the documentation. Those are all your resources. Those are some good resources. But what about those of you, like me, who like printed resources? And I know that there's going to be some of you in the audience going, oh my god, printed resources. You know, it's out of date as soon as the ink dries. Yes and no. It's not as cutting edge as you would like, but you know, there's some networking books. Not much is, you know, changed. Like networking hasn't gone an amazingly drastic change. You know, books written in the 80s about how to get, you know, your subnet mask from an IPv4 address, still the same, hasn't changed. So while these things do go out of date quickly, and you must take that into account when you're reading these books, you can still get a lot of foundational knowledge because especially some of the things you see in the open source world, things do every now and then get like a complete 180 change, but most of the time they're just adding new features or improving security or stuff like that. If you want a base understanding, then you can actually get some use out of the books. Now, that being said, one second. One of the things you will learn is I actually have a weird obsession for old things. I actually have a copy of Windows ME in a drawer over here. that I play with every now and then, just because it's awful and it's weird and it's kooky. So let me just say that while you can get good information out of books, if you go to something like this and you try to get relevant information today about Windows from something from the Windows NT Resource Kit, which, by the way, let me check the publishing date. 96. I was 4 years old. Not relevant anymore. Now, most people are like, why do you still have it? Well, if I ever need kindling, got a lot of kindling. Probably could level my coffee table with it. Could do a lot of things with it. It's also nifty to know where things came from. If you're a person like me who does enjoy the history of where all this stuff came from, it's nifty to know where it came from. Other than that, you know, most people would have thrown this book away, and actually, that's how I got it. I saved it from a trash bin because I was like, that's a cool book. It's completely irrelevant, but it's interesting to see how things were in the old days. So that being said, let me tell you about a couple of the publishers that I like, and a couple of the specific author who I really like for tech writing. So everybody knows the O'Reilly books, and I have nothing against the O'Reilly books. They are great books. They have great information that is factually accurate. However, they read about as dry as the Sahara Desert. They're not necessarily fun to read. And believe it or not, tech books can be fun to read. There can be jokes, there can be quips, there can be all sorts of things in there. Anecdotes, you know. They're once from a man from Nantucket who has cybersecurity issues. You know, his network security was bad. We could make all sorts of limericks. Actually, I might do that for next week. Make some weird computer science limericks. So, while those books are great, and I never turn my head away from the O'Reilly books when it comes to factual look-up information, I'm talking about books I can sit down with and read and be entertained by them enough to read an entire tech book. Not as a reference manual, but as a learning tool and almost like a story. So, some of the books that I really like come from No Starch Press. So, No Starch Press is relatively new to me. I've never heard of them, but I've always seen their books before, and I have to say that they're pretty cool. So, the Book of PF, this one's a little bit outdated. This is one of the instances where your book's outdated. This book's a little bit older, and it's using an older version of PF. I think it's like PF, I think it was an OpenBSD, when they talk about it, it's OpenBSD 5.4, but it might be 4.5. It's an older version. Probably still relevant to help you in FreeBSD land, probably not quite so relevant to help you in OpenBSD land, because OpenBSD and the FreeBSD, they forked PF. But the basics of this are still useful. Probably wouldn't read this book start to finish, but you never know. Now this, Absolute OpenBSD, which is written by my favorite tech author, who I have more of his stuff on my desk to show you. But anyways, this book I know is outdated. This is from OpenBSD 5.4, and while it is outdated, there's still a lot of really good information here. And actually, where am I at? I'm right here. You know, I'm right. Like, there's my bookmark. I'm reading this book. I'm actually reading the book. I'm not going, I need to know how this works. I got my answer, which is what most people do with tech books. The mark of a good tech book is a book that you can sit down on a raining day and read and like and understand. So those are my two favorite publishers. When it comes to other publishers, I really don't know any. I've seen like the Jumpstart stuff or the First Start or anything. Those are okay. They sometimes, to me, they feel like they try too hard. I also don't know of any for BSD based things. I know they have it for like Head Start Java. That's what they're called. So they're okay. And then, you know, your typical, there's the ones with the fruit on them that are, a lot of times those go with like OpenStack topics or iOS stuff. I've seen those before. Those are okay. They're kind of dull too. But anyways, my favorite tech author right now, and he will probably remain my favorite tech author because, one, his books are entertaining. Two, he writes about stuff that I don't know if anybody else ever writes about. Three, he's fun to listen to. If you ever go look him up online and watch his YouTube videos, you'll learn a lot, and he's entertaining. Is Michael W. Lucas. And you can visit his website. I think it's either michaelwlucas.com or .org, but you have to put the W in there because Michael Lucas is a famous gay porn star, and you don't want to look that up. So, or maybe you do. Your choice. So, Currently, I bought 6 of his books with my last paycheck. And I have them right here. So I have SSH Mastery. I am actually in the middle of reading this book. Yes, that's a magic card for a bookmark. For those of you geeks, it's a Plains from Khans of Tarkir. So, I'm actually reading this book. This book is fun. It's funny. It has jokes. I'm learning stuff from it. You'd think, oh, SSH Mastery. I know everything about SSH. I type SSH in. I know how to use a key. You don't know everything about SSH. You know, you can configure SSH to be a VPN. Oh, I guess you have to buy the book. By the way, I'm not getting promoted for any of this stuff. I don't get anything. I think I've tweeted at Michael W. Lucas once when I got these books because I took a picture of it. I'm in no way endorsed or getting asked to do any of this stuff. I love his books so much that I bought 6 of them and I want to get more of them. Let's put it this way. His books are so entertaining. I'm looking forward to his book on PAM Mastery. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? But I know it's going to be a great book. Anyways, Pseudo Mastery. This is actually a pretty cool book. And I think whenever I remember hearing him talk about it, he says that, most people edit one file in sudo and they go. And not only is that bad, everybody in wheel gets sudo access and only control sudo access to the wheel. There's so much more you can do with sudo that you could use this book and read it. So there's that. The rest of these are actually all FreeBSD books. So what we're going to start with is there's FreeBSD Storage Essentials, FreeBSD Mastery ZFS, Advanced ZFS, and Specialty File Systems. Now this one looks like it's going to be fun. On the back it's got like different boats and their file systems like Fuse, NFS version 4, Union, AutoFS, all these different file systems. So this is going to be fun to read. I'm looking forward to it. Also, if you're curious as to where I'm getting content for this channel, so I recommend buying them if you're one of those kind of people that likes to sit down with a good book and read and can switch between reading fiction and reading SSH Mastery. Then I highly recommend it. They're great books. One of the things that I think makes Michael so good about being a writer is he also writes fiction. So he knows how to not just go, if you turn to page 4, you will find that the right angle of this triangle, it's terrible. They're fun, they're entertaining. Oh, I heard an interview once that every single one of the books he writes that's a tech book, also absolute OpenBSD, Michael W. Lucas. Every one of the books that he writes has a narrator, and it has like a voice. And this one is like the narrator of the bitchy sysadmin, so that's kind of one of the reasons why I like it. But his stuff is great. The No Starch Press stuff is great. I highly recommend. I actually have some more books back there, but they're Linux books. I have like Practical Packet Analysis, the How Linux Works, the GNU Make book. Yeah. So I have lots of those, and I do like them. So if you're looking to expand your library and you're looking to broaden your mind with some resources, get some books. They're not going to hurt you. They don't bite. I know a lot of people are like paper. I personally hate reading PDFs online. I don't like it. I don't like ebooks. Ebooks are a convenience when I can't have my paper books. And that might just be me. You may think I'm nuts for it, but So next week's video, I'm actually going to make a promise now. Hopefully next week's video will be about FreeNAS, and I will have gotten this horrendous cluster fixed. And I will have a FreeNAS server that I will demonstrate to you and all of its wonders. Sorry for the short episode this week. I hope you enjoyed it being a little bit more raunchy and me being a little bit more agitated. I worked a really long time today. I had to come home and make this video because I don't want to disappoint you, because I know there are some people that actually do enjoy tuning in and listening to me talk. Thank you, by the way. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you're looking forward to next week. We're going to do FreeNAS, and then I'm going to make a tentative promise, and if I don't hold it, don't flay me alive. FreeNAS next week, and then I'm going to do a full episode on SSH and all the cool stuff you can do with SSH with demonstrations. So if you're interested, tune back in. If you have any friends that you think will like this channel, let them know there's some great content coming up. And I just want to thank everybody for hanging in there and, being willing to wait a week for some really cool material. Hopefully, I don't throw these machines out of the window before before the next episode. I do have to say, if IX Systems would just like send me a free NAS Mini, that would be great. But I am not anywhere near important enough to get a free NAS Mini. That's actually where I'm going, by the way. I'm currently stockpiling hard drives, building my own free NAS, and eventually I'm going to try to figure out how to migrate a free NAS. I don't know. I need to like maybe email Alan Jude or someone that knows a lot about ZFS, or maybe Chris Moore since he worked at IX Systems, and see if I can migrate my drives between a home-built FreeNAS and a FreeNAS Mini XL. So thank you for tuning in this week. Sorry it's a little bit shorter, but I hope you liked it. If you did like it and you'd like me to go off on more of these like pissy rants, let me know. They seem to constantly amuse my coworkers. So who knows? Maybe this is what you're looking for, and I can be a little bit of humor in your life. Humor and BSD, they go hand in hand together. Have a good week, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.